This is a fair value gap, a 3-candle formation that will leave behind an inefficiency in its wake. This inefficiency is a place that price will often return to, and when we are bullish, continue its uptrend from. Continuing forward, we have 2 candles here. Now, on the 3rd candle with the fair value gap, as we've just established, we will typically leave that inefficiency for price to return to later. But with the immediate rebalance, price is coming down into the wick of the 1st candle when we are bullish, as you see here, to ensure that there is no inefficiency, or in other words, no need for price to return back down to where this wick is residing. With that logic, an immediate rebalance, and as you see here, a plus IR is a bullish immediate rebalance. If you ever see that on my charts, is a signature of strength. Not only a bullish signature, but a signature that can signal to us that rapid upwards delivery is likely when we see this playing out. Okay, so with the fair value gap, it's leaving behind that inefficiency, that fair value gap. But with the immediate rebalance, it's coming down into this wick, again, to ensure that there's no inefficiency or no need to return back down here, and it can resume its uptrend higher. Now, additional signatures with immediate rebalances, as we've just established, they are an extreme signature of strength. Number 2, the rule of thumb with immediate rebalances is that we can expect rapid delivery, but when? On the actual candle that performs the immediate rebalance, so this right here, the 3rd candle that goes down into that wick, or the 2 candles that follow. That's the general rule of thumb for when we want to see that continuation occur. Okay. Number 3, we want to look for immediate rebalances on higher time frame wicks. So when I say higher time frame wicks, I am looking at the 1 hour and above. So the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, and the weekly. Now, of course, prices fractal will see immediate rebalances play out time and time again on the lower time frame, right? We can just identify those for pattern's sake. If we look at, the 5 minute, the 15, the 1 minute, the 30 second, we'll see those if we scroll through a chart. But to consistently utilize immediate rebalances with confidence, I'm looking at these higher time frames. Okay, continuing further, we want to measure the quadrants of each wick that we're utilizing for whatever scenario that we are in for heightened precision. Okay, so not just the top of the wick here. Okay, that's definitely a place that we want to watch. But if we see price come down into that very top of the wick and there's no reaction, I'm also just going to watch the 25% level or the upper quadrant and see if there's any signs of reversal from that upper quadrant. And then continuing forward, that same logic, I'm going to look at 50% or consequent encroachment, CE, of this wick to see if there's any sensitivity there and indication of a reversal. Okay, so when I utilize these immediate rebalances, I don't just have, when I'm bullish, buy limits resting here. Okay, and this goes into our next and final bullet point here. We're looking for this higher time frame immediate rebalance to occur during a macro window. Okay, and for those of you who are familiar with the macro power of 3 checklist, we're looking for the macro PO3 manipulation to deliver to the higher time frame wick. Okay, so again, if you have not seen any of my work on macro power of 3 or do not know the checklist, I'll link a video somewhere, or you can just go to my channel and search macro power of 3 with my name here on YouTube. But this is what we're looking for, right? We're not just looking for immediate rebalances in the higher time frame whenever. Can they occur outside of macro windows? Yes, of course, right? But for probabilities stacked in our favor, we want to utilize time and price as much as we can, right? And if we see price deliver to a higher time frame wick, a higher time frame key reference point during a macro, that's the epitome of time and price aligning. By extension, higher probability for our trading. Okay. Now, a visualization of this is just if we have that same wick here, assuming that this is a 1 hour chart or higher, this is where we're looking for our macro power of 3 setup in or after delivery to this higher time frame wick. Okay, and a visualization of this is as depicted here, where if we have this 1 hour wick, the top of this wick will say price comes below macro opening price, delivers and sees support from there, and then we get our macro inversion, and there should be a sell side liquidity sweep here as well. This is the logic that we want to look for. Again, for macro power of 3 entry criteria, and when we're bullish, we want to look for delivery below macro open, sell side liquidity sweep, and then closure above an inversion, right? Those 3 simple steps. And then just cherry on top, stacking confluence, we look for things like an immediate rebalance on the 1 hour time frame and higher. Okay, so let's get into our example for today's lesson. As you can see here, this is the 1 hour time frame for NQM2025, and we're going to kind of break this down, top down, relative to the concepts that we're talking about here. But as we progress and really paint this picture and put the pieces of the puzzle together, we'll see how the concepts that we utilize with ICT, but more specifically the concepts of his that I utilize in my own way, we use on a day-to-day basis, and we'll see how they blend together beautifully. Okay, so this is the 1 hour time frame, and what do we see? Price is showing a willingness to go higher, and when we are bullish, where does price go? To premium, to swing highs, to premium inefficiencies, et cetera, right? And as depicted here, we have an hourly swing high, which of course is classified for us as buy-side liquidity, okay? Now, progressing further, what makes this specific hourly swing high higher probability for price to draw to? If we use this high right here to this low down here as our dealing range high and low, we can see that this is our dealing range. So premium, discount. And if you drag off this imaginary line that's depicting equilibrium, right, that's right where this hourly swing high is, right? So when we're trying to determine draw on liquidity, which should be our first priority before any signatures, even immediate rebalance, we want to look for as many confluences that, support a particular directional bias. Okay, so not only do we have a swing high here on the hourly time frame, but it's also right at equilibrium. So if we see a setup in this direction, that can be our setup for the day. We don't need price and require price to get all the way up to the top of the dealing range high to carve out a career, to have success. We don't need the exact low, the exact high. But this is how we can stack confluence using simple things, again, like swing high, a buy-side liquidity pool on the 1 hour time frame, and premium. Okay, and when those are in close proximity to each other, it's a very strong draw on liquidity. We just need to see that lower time frame order flow and ultimately trade setup present itself to us, okay, to support this directional bias. So again, moving forward, this is a strong magnet for price. Now, adding in the first seeds of time, this is the hourly candle where this chart is backed up for 9 a.m. Eastern time. So again, that is right after, the middle of this candle, 9:30 New York open. Did price purge this high? No, so we still have that draw intact. Okay, now note again where this candle is closing, right above this wick. Okay, now what do we see occur? Price did in fact open on the next candle, 10 a.m. Eastern time, of course, and deliver to premium, to equilibrium, of course, and the specific buy-side liquidity pool as we have been discussing here, okay? Now, if we look at this chart further, there's even more to take away, okay? And really to reinforce the logic behind an immediate rebalance. So if we have this BISI right here, right, this bullish fair value gap, we understand that when we are bullish, that is a common area for price to return to prior to continuing its uptrend higher. So in this case, wouldn't we be saying, okay, I want this 10 a.m. candle to open come down into this BISI and then give me a setup targeting this buy side liquidity pool. That's a possibility, but it's not required. Okay. The stronger scenario would be that we only come into this upper wick. So focus on these 3 candles. 1, where my cursor is, 2, and then 3, the third, 10 a.m. open. We open, and are we leaving another inefficiency, another fair value gap here? No, we're just coming into this wick from the first candle. Okay. And what have we established? An immediate rebalance is an extreme signature of strength when we are seeing bullish order flow. Okay. And now this market today did not provide the continuation all the way up here and have a super large expansion day, but just in general, the last few months have been extremely bullish, right? So just that foundation of trend on your side, when we see this type of order flow, and in this case, immediate rebalance, it's stacking more probabilities in your favor because you have that higher time frame trend on your side. Okay. Now, again, as we've discussed on this channel before, a breakaway gap in and of itself is a signature of strength. Coupling that with our understanding that an immediate rebalance is showing us that the market is very strong. If we see the inception of a macro power of 3 setup within this wick or after delivering to this upper wick without delivering to this lower BISI, again, classifying it as a breakaway gap, that is such a clear signature and depiction that the market is strong and that we should be looking for long setups if it's provided after delivery to the immediate rebalance. Okay, so let's progress to the 1 minute time frame and look at what occurred. Again, NQM 2025, 1 minute. So this is that hourly swing high we have here. And we see this is the opening range high, 9:30 open, price moves up, comes back down, and then starts to climb higher. But again, we still have this hourly swing high for us to deliver to, right? So if that was purged, it might be a different story. But the draw on liquidity equilibrium, again, recall, is right below this in close proximity. That's still intact. So we have reason to expect higher prices if we see that in order flow, okay? Now, we want to operate with macro power of 3, of course, during the macro windows. And for macro power of 3 entry criteria, we want the best long setups to occur after delivery to discount, or of course, if we're still in discount, that's fine as well. Okay, but we want to see delivery to discount. Okay, and we can use the opening range low to the opening range high to get premium and then discount. This is where our focus is over here. Okay, and as we progress, we'll see that price leaves this high right at the start of the macro. Note how it's making that high right there, right at 950, working macro opening price, and then zooming down, running internal sell side liquidity here into a discount. Okay, we still have our clear draw on liquidity that has not been taken yet. So we're seeing with macro power of 3 entry criteria, we're seeing the checklist, the criteria be met here in front of our eyes. We just have to wait for confirmation. Now further, we see that this is 10 a.m. open. Okay, now recall with the hourly immediate rebalance, okay, that 10 a.m. open is the start of a new hourly candle. Okay, so now on that third hourly candle, we're saying, okay, well, where is that upper wick? And as you see here, and as mentioned earlier in the video, we can measure the quadrants, and in this case, CE, or 50% of that hourly wick from a few slides ago, is right here, this blue line. Okay, so A, did we already sweep sell-side liquidity? Yes, but there's no confirmation for entry here anyways. And as we progress, we'll see when we came up here, there's still no entry. So there's nothing to do anyways, right? Price comes down and does deliver to that hourly wick 50% level and respect it on a closing basis. See how we're just wicking it real quick and then we have a strong reaction from it? That's what we want to see. But what do we see even further? We're seeing a macro SMT, which you guys who've been following me for a while knows how strong of a signature this is here. Okay, so see how we're blending lots of concepts together to get a really good idea of what's occurring, but where a turning point relative to this retracement could and is occurring, right? So we're seeing this SMT. We delivered to the hourly wick CE, which we know that higher time frame key reference point is an extremely strong signature when we're bullish, okay, in sensitive area. We delivered below macro open. We left the highs. We came to a discount. All there's left to do now is wait for this close above this SIBI, and that will be classified as a high probability bullish inversion. Okay, we get that close. This is our entry on this close right here. Our stop loss is below this low right here. We can target opening range high and that hourly swing high. And as we'll see, we just have beautiful delivery here. Okay, up to the target. Now, again, note what type of signature is an immediate rebalance. Of course, it's, on the higher time frame, we want that rule of thumb. It's just a bullish signature, right? And it can occur the 1 to 2 candles after, but it's such a strong signature relative to price delivery and speed of delivery, where this is the type of delivery we want to see. So, of course, it won't close and then rip up like this every time, but this type of delivery is more likely than when we don't have the immediate rebalance in play, right? And the immediate rebalance is such a strong signature. Note how literally, because the bodies tell a story, we close right above this inversion and then boom, off to the races. We go right up there. At this point on this close, based off everything that we've discussed, is there anything left for us to do down here? No, there's nothing left for us to do. We already delivered to 9:30 open. We already delivered to discount in general. We swept these lows below 10 a.m. open, SMT, hourly wick. Everything's in play. Everything's aligned here. All we're waiting for is the entry confirmation, which is the close above this SIBI, classifying it as a high probability bullish inversion. Okay. Now, to reiterate, key takeaways. Do not try to pattern trade every immediate rebalance. Okay. There needs to be a reason for the immediate rebalance to work. And plain and simple, directional bias needs to be clear. Draw on liquidity needs to be clear. If we don't have those two things clear to us, we need to not be trading, regardless of signature, immediate rebalance, macro power 3, unicorn, whatever. Our first priority is, where is price going? What is our directional bias? Why? Is there a clear draw on liquidity, right? And plain and simple, can we stack confluences using what we talked about here, a clear swing high, equilibrium, new week opening gap, etc. All that for another video, okay? Number 3, we want to utilize macro power of 3 entry checklist for our trade entries, okay? And more specifically, the manipulation for macro power of 3 should deliver to that higher time frame wick. And remember, again, we can measure the quadrants of that wick. It doesn't need to only occur after delivery to the high. In the example we went through today, it delivered to 50% of it. Okay, so just because it's moving past the top of the wick, the upper quadrant, and going to 50% of it, doesn't just mean that the market is not strong in scenarios like today, like we've described. And again, remember, it is time and price. Okay, it's not just immediate rebalances, it's not just price signatures, but it's also not just, okay, it's macro time, I need to be in a trade. We need to see both things occurring hand in hand. So clear price signatures, clear macro power of 3 entry criteria after we've established a clear directional bias during our time window that we are looking for price to deliver efficiently towards our draw on liquidity for that particular setup, for that particular session overall. Okay, and just to reiterate, the most common occurrence for entry is delivery to higher time frame wick, macro inversion.